YouTube is up. Mics and cameras are live. What's up, boys and girls? Rumble viewers, what's going on? Great to have you here today. Rumble viewers, what's going on? Facebook is live. X is live. We're good to go. AAR website will pop at 8 p.m. Preset. I'm going to regret this coffee later, but an overnight flight made it an absolute necessity today, Greg.
I mean, you chose the overnight flight.
I did. I like that flight. I really do. But I thought I'd be able to get home and get some sleep. Instead, I had to have a couple Russian guys come over and charge me $650 to fix 2 broken springs and a garage door opener. So there went that idea.
I mean, all this sounds like you planned it. Like, you could have done the garage door during the week.
No,
could have came home on a different flight time.
Garage door was closed. 4 cars in the driveway. Corvette in the garage. No, that had to get fixed. It was one of those deals, right, ladies and gentlemen? It just is what it is. Home ownership.
Manually lift the garage door to get out if you need.
That's why I couldn't, because the springs were busted, and I couldn't manually lift it by unlocking it. Wouldn't budge.
Well, you got to lift more than the guitar to be able to pick up a garage door. So
I've done it a million times, bro. 30 years of home ownership. You fix garage doors. That was $650 I wasn't expecting to spend today. Guys, we have a good lineup for you today.
What?
Talking to those watching on the stream, which is live.
All right.
A little coffee today on air. Be a good excuse for a whiskey after the show. What do you think? Got a bunch of new affiliates we're going to shout out today, too. Guys, if you're watching us on social media, make sure to share the post. Please repost, share, get it out to all your friends. Help us take back our social media. We can't do it without you, man. Come on now. How's your weather there today?
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends, because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Car Firearms Group studio
At the Patriot Mobile Communication Center.
on the Sig Sauer Platinum microphone.
Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association.
National Rifle Association.
Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
Oh, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast begins right now. You just heard it on the intro. Car Firearms Group Studios lit up for you at the Patriot Mobile Command Center. Sig Sauer mic on fire for you, and it's all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. That's 6 days a week. Join us, ladies and gentlemen, at nra.org/AAR and get on board. The water is warm, and we need your help. We have a lot to talk with you about today. Greg in Dallas, Texas. How you doing, my brother?
Not too bad. Here we are. Sunday gun day. Got here quick.
Got here quick, huh? I hopped on a flight at 11:55 p.m., and all of a sudden I woke up in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I would get some sleep when I got home, but no, I had to get a garage door fixed and a bunch. Oh man, it's home ownership, man.
Good times.
Good times. Welcome
Adulting.
home. Can I have your wallet?
Do better.
Do better, right? Okay. Hey, Greg, we've got a lot going on today, and I want to get before we get going. Let's do the social
Get all
media
the stuff
shout outs.
out.
Let's get all that out of the way real quick. We've got a fascinating half hour coming up with Alan Gottlieb. We're going to ask a bunch of questions that I know, ladies and gentlemen, you might be asking. If not, I'm going to give you a lot to think about, and Alan will definitely help out with his responses, because there's been a lot of chatter about what's going on with the Mexico case, 9-0 decision, Kagan writing the decision. How does what? There's a lot of what's going on out there, but we'll clear all that up with Alan as best we can. But first, we're live for you on Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. You can watch us and comment over there. And Greg, I'll let you take it away from there. For the rest, we're everywhere. And the chat, go for it, and then we'll get started with some fun news before we get going with Alan as well.
Yeah, we're also live over on YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over on X, just look for @AAR Mark. You can also head on over to armedamericanradio.org or .com. On that website, just click the menu icon and select your watch live or listen live option. If you want to join our live chat, just head on over to your app store, grab the Telegram messaging app, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Yeah, that'll do it. And I want to welcome some new stations. We've got a slew of new stations out here carrying the broadcast now. WIRO-FM 106.7, Ironton, Ohio. That's the way you say it. I know that because I was born in Cincinnati. Ironton, Ohio. Welcome to the program. I believe this is your inaugural broadcast today. WTHQ-AM 1030, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Charleston area, welcome to the show. WTHQ-FM on the translator, 94.1. Welcome to the program. WQZQ-FM, Piketon, Ohio. That's the Columbus area. Welcome to the show. WZGM-AM 1350, Black Mountain, North Carolina. That's Asheville. Welcome to the program. And on your FM translator as well. And also on the Daily Defense, we have some new ones. WNWS-FM, WBFG-FM, WZGM-AM. So a lot of growth always happening out there. It's great to see that. So, guys, I just spent an amazing week in Arizona, and I want to say just a blanket thank you to everybody out there, the Arizona Republican Party, the Speaker of the House, Kwong Win. He will be here in the next hour for a half hour. I want to give a big shout-out. You're listening on AM 960, The Patriot. Thank you to The Patriot, Jeremy, and the whole crew, Ramon, for allowing us to use the studios over there on Thursday for a live broadcast. And Jerry Sheridan, your sheriff, is wonderful. He and I had a really nice dinner together up in beautiful Cave Creek. If you've never been to Cave Creek, I guess Cave Creek residents are listening. I'll tell you, just don't ever go. You don't need to go there. Stay
Hey,
away
Mark,
from
just real quick, speaking of Jerry Sheridan and the sheriff you got to have dinner with, did you come back with something pretty cool from over there?
Oh, I got badged. Yeah, that's a
how
beautiful
about
thing. Fun
that?
stuff. All right. Gotta love that.
Come on now, Sheriff Behan.
Sheriff Behan. All right, let's go over to Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. Alan, how the heck are you? What a busy week. I'm so glad we got you in here, my brother.
It's been a busy week, and next week is going to be busy as well. I can't announce things in advance, but staff's going to have a very busy week in the courts next week.
Okay, so, okay, serious. I can't ask you about you. Just tell me now, because my job's to ask you. All we can tell is we got a busy week coming up at Second Amendment Foundation next week, right? We want to keep our eyes on that.
We do, and if you're not, don't get our alerts and things, go to our website at saf.org and look at our new legal cases for next week.
All right, guys, you heard that from Alan Gottlieb. When he says that, that's positive. That means there's action coming on your behalf as an American patriot and a gun owner. Alan, there's a lot happening, and I want to start with you on this Mexico decision, Mexico versus Smith & Wesson. There was a fascinating decision that came down on this, and my job is to ask you questions. What I'm going to give you as we go through this is not my opinion on what I think is happening. I want to get your take on it based on a couple of different ways that this can be viewed, because Justice Elena Kagan wrote the 9-0 decision, and she said some very interesting things in that decision that will impact coming cases. But first off, this was a PLCAA, Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act. Mexico sued the United States, or sued Smith & Wesson and some 7 gun manufacturers altogether, ladies and gentlemen. So the question becomes, Alan, did you expect what happened in the case? Did you expect it? I expected this victory, but I didn't expect the 9-0. What were your thoughts?
Well, first of all, Mark, yes, I did expect the victory. I think after oral arguments, it was pretty apparent that Mexico was going to lose. And it's not just Mexico losing, because the gun prohibition lobby in the United States helped supply the lawyers and worked with him to bring this case. So it's a defeat for the gun prohibition lobby at the same time. But it just wasn't really directly a Second Amendment case. As a result, I was surprised by the 9-0 decision. I was sure there would be at least 2, if not 3, votes against it. So I figured 6-3, 7-2. The 9-0 did surprise me. And it's interesting because Elena Kagan, writing the opinion for the court for all 9 justices, said a lot of interesting things. In particular, that so-called assault rifles are commonly owned by millions of people, and that they're not used in crime halfway as much as a typical handgun would be used in crime. On the other hand, though, this was not being the Second Amendment case. So while Kagan, could make that statement, that doesn't mean she wants those guns to be legal. And if she had a choice on the court of making them illegal, she'd probably rule against us. So I'm not sure we've convinced anybody on the other side on the court to join the Second Amendment, rights supporters. On the other hand, it's a good sign. It's positive, and we should be thankful for it. And we should be, thank you, Elena Kagan, for writing this opinion as well as you did.
Yeah, so you touched on where I wanted to go with you here, because the statements that she made, and let me just very quickly pull that up. I have a lot going on over here with this, but Mexico gun activist, that's not it. Let me just paraphrase, because I don't have it in front of me. Exactly what you said. She said that she specifically pointed to AR-15s and AK-47s et al. That these guns are the most popular rifles in America, that they were, and the word common came out. So I guess my question is, because I agree with you, the more I thought about this, it came to mind, well, she did say that. However, what she did was she said that the law allows these guns to be sold. That does not mean that she agrees with the law in an upcoming case, right? Or did she? That's the question. And I think she gave herself an out, but because it was a majority opinion here, I think it's going to likely come back up. Could it come back to bite her?
Well, she's going to have to, those are her own words, and she's going to have to defend why she's now changing her position, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But, liberals on the court do that all the time. Remember, according to them, it's a living, breathing constitution that changes depending on their whims and wishes. So I can't say she's going to be with us. She hasn't been with us really before, but it's a good sign. It's moving in the right direction, and we should pat her on the back for it.
Well, we also had Brown write a concurrence on that as well. And that was interesting because it went kind of along the lines, well, it went with her on that. She expanded on a little bit. I don't want to go too much into it, but it looks to me like they're both going to have trouble on a future case. Now, here's my question for you. And I know, Greg, you're going to tell us we've got a break. So, Alan, I'm just going to set this up for you now when we come back. I had some interesting conversations in Arizona about this, referring to Kavanaugh's statement on the Snopes refusal, or the court's refusal to grant cert in the Fourth Circuit
30.
assault weapons ban case, Alan. Kavanaugh wrote an opinion here, I guess, what you want to call it. He explained as best he could as why the court didn't take the case. Well, he didn't say why, but he went into the court did not take the case. He explained that a new case would be coming up. He insinuated with a wink and a nod that the court would be taking another assault weapons ban case within the next year or two, or the next two sessions. So we have something to hang our hat on there. Of course, we're angry they didn't take this case that had already been fully briefed. But I have a fascinating question for you when we come back from this break, Alan, because methinks I might maybe have an idea about why the court didn't take this case based on the Mexico case outcome. We'll be back with Alan Gottlieb. Fascinating conversation coming up. Don't go away. The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We need you to join the National Rifle Association right now. All these things that we're talking about now hinge on you and you getting and staying active. This is a new National Rifle Association. Join us as we move forward. Put the past behind you. Let's move on together and advance our gun rights. Second Amendment Foundation fighting courtroom battles, NRA working across the states. It's time, ladies and gentlemen. If you've let your membership lapse, I did, rejoin. If you're a new member, add something to it. If you've never been a member, now's the perfect time. Jump in. As I said before, the water is warm. NRA.org/AAR. You're going to get a nice discount over there. You can join for 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, or life. Take your pick. Get a really cool hat out of it. Get a discount on it. National Rifle Association needs your support. Please join us over there and help us fight moving forward. Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. Welcome back, my friend. So an interesting question for you here. Let's move between Snopes and Mexico. We were all very disappointed that Snopes case was not taken. I've not had an opportunity to talk with you about that. Would you tell us about that briefly to our listeners, because you were not here last week when the decision came out previous? Tell us about what you think is happening with Kavanaugh's decision there on Snopes.
Well, Kavanaugh wrote a piece on the decision, or them not taking the case, talking a bit about how the court basically needs to eventually hear a case on so-called assault weapons, and that it's going to come shortly in the next term or two. And I think, quite frankly, everybody has to read between the lines there. He would have been the fourth vote to take the case and chose not to at this time. I think personally what's going on here is that on the emergency docket, where everybody is suing Trump, and there's like 100 plus 200 suits going through the courts right now, that the White House immediately appeals to the Supreme Court to put it on the emergency docket. And they need to leave some time for emergency docket cases coming up. And there's a lot of cases I think they'd like to take, including the Snopes case, that right now just doesn't fit the parameters of the amount of time they have in the next session. So I think what was signaled to us is they're going to take a case. It won't be this one. And the court knows that there's, approximately a dozen of these cases coming up through the courts right now, that are going to be ripe for them to take one of, all which is extremely similar to Snopes. And I don't think they would have taken Snopes and held it over, almost 20 times if they really didn't want to take a case. But the court docket's really packed. And one of the advantages of the left wing in this country suing Trump over everything is the fact that they've tied up the Supreme Court so they can't hear a lot of other cases that they know they would lose on, like Snopes. And I think that's what's behind it, if you want my opinion and my take on it.
And that's exactly why I asked, but it begs this question. Who passed away and made Kavanaugh the end-all, be-all? Because you had Gorsuch, you had Thomas, and you had Alito that wanted to take the case. Why did this come down to Kavanaugh's decision? Who is he to make that decision for the court?
Well, Mark, it wasn't Kavanaugh's decision. The fact is he would have been the fourth vote when you need 4 votes to be able to take a case, or somebody else could have been the fourth vote, but there obviously appears to be not a fourth vote to take it now, and I think it's because of time constraints. So this is not Kavanaugh's decision. He just wanted to advance and let everybody know the court's watching these cases, and they care about the assault and ban case a lot, and they weren't taking this one, and they didn't give a reason why, and I think the reason why is that emergency docket is taking up a lot of their time.
Are you as frustrated as all of us that this case that had already been fully briefed wasn't the one they took? It was your case.
It was a Second Amendment Foundation case, but we also have a bunch of other ones right behind it.
Right.
So my guess is it's at least a 50-50 chance that one of the other cases they will take will also be a Second Amendment Foundation case, or maybe even better than 50-50, maybe 75%. So I'm not, if it isn't a SAF case and it's another case, I don't really care. I just want our freedom restored. Right to late is right tonight. So yes, I'm frustrated, but on the other hand, they signal they're going to take a case. So, that there's good news, there's bad news.
Right.
Glass is half full, glass is half empty. We didn't really lose. That's the important thing.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm hearing you say is the anti-gunners should not be doing a song and dance powwow around the campfire right now. This was not a good decision for them. It just delayed what they know is inevitable.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel. I would guess you probably feel the same way.
Yeah, and a lot of the anti-gun groups feel the same way, and that's why they're not jumping up and down. I mean, they're glad right now the case wasn't taken. Their hope is somehow this makeup of the court changes between now and the time they hear a case. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's always a possibility. So, I mean, they're hoping their prayers, their Hail Mary prayers, get answered. But I think we're still in good shape.
All right, now this is an interesting question. This came up in multiple conversations I had with some fine folks, some good patriots out in Arizona. It's clear, when you look back in hindsight, we see things crystal clear in hindsight. It's always high definition in the rearview mirror. And I don't have an answer to this, but I want to ask the question because it came up and it made for some great conversation. It's, I'm going to assume that Kavanaugh and Gorsuch and the rest of the court, at the time that decision was written or that explanation was written by Kavanaugh, they had already likely read the majority decision in the Smith & Wesson case, wouldn't they have? And would that have made it a little bit easier for them to make that decision when they saw what Kagan had written and read that opinion?
Well, I'm not 100% sure they read the opinion. They knew what the verdict was. They knew it was a 9-0 vote. I would assume they probably had a chance to read her opinion on it, and they all went along with it. Yeah. So let me just, for argument's sake, I'll say yes.
Okay, because I found that interesting when I look back at that. I was having some conversation with some folks, and some people were wondering if that might have had been directly related. I don't believe it was directly related, but it could have been an impetus and made them feel better. I think if I were Kavanaugh and I read that decision that was written by Kagan, if I had read the decision in advance, it certainly would have made it about a lot easier for me to write that explanation. I think it would have been coming from a place of confidence. But again, Alan, that's just me. I don't know. I just want to ask that question. All right, let's go over to Citigroup real quick, because now we have Citigroup, who is apparently backtracking and now going to start financing companies that manufacture quote unquote assault weapons again. And this is a good decision by Citicorp the decision not to should have never been made. But is this the beginning is this part of the Trump effect? Are we beginning to see these companies get rid of this wokeness and begin to fall in line and start supporting these businesses again, these American businesses that are manufacturing lawful products?
It's not just the American businesses manufacturing lawful products. It's also gun stores taking credit cards and things of that nature. There were Citibank was hassling gun stores and taking away the privileges of having, issuing credit cards or taking credit card charges to buy these types of firearms. Yeah, there's partly the Trump effect, and partly the fact that Citibank's explanation doesn't hold any water to me. It's a cover your behind statement saying that now all of a sudden the gun industry is acting responsible, so they don't need to do this anymore, and so they're glad they were able to influence the gun industry to act responsible. That's not the case at all.
Yeah,
I think the case is there's been a lot of pushback against Citibank, and you've got states that have passed laws, that infringe on Citibank's right to be able to buy or sell bonds and things because of their positions they've taken on firearms. So there's been a lot of economic pressure as well. I don't think it was done out of Citibank's goodness of their heart.
Overall good news, though, right? We're getting ready to end the segment. Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. I wish I could keep you for 7 hours. If I had a 7-hour show today, I could certainly do that. Thank you, sir, for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, join us over at SAF, please, saf.org, saf.org, and we'll keep our eyes peeled on this great news coming out that Alan said for more stuff next week. Don't go away. We'll be right back with AWR.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason on KQAM, Wichita's Big Talker, and you're tuned into the Armed American Radio Network. Now let's get back to the man himself, Mark Walters.
Good heavens, there's a lot going on here in the studio today, Greg. Fans going on, all kinds of fun stuff. Car Firearm Studios are lit up for you, ladies and gentlemen. 6 Hour Mike is powered up for you on hundreds of radio stations. All you new stations I shouted out, welcome to the program. And we'll do that again tomorrow on the Daily Defense because we have some ads over there as well that I mentioned for the Daily Defense Show. So we'll do that on a Monday, and hopefully we'll have Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason, in with us. And we're in the Patriot Mobile Communication Command Center. Remember, it's all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. So, Greg, I spent a number of days in Arizona, and it was a fantastic trip all the way around. And I got a chance to go over to the attorneys on retainer offices over there in Chandler. Wow.
All right. Yeah.
And, really nice. Guys, I had, if you were listening to the Daily Defense, Mark Victor was on with me, the founder, and we had just an amazing conversation. He is so passionate about the whole freedom aspect of what we talk about, right? Because without our right to bear arms, he gets it just like you do, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have any freedom, and Greg, and that's what we talked about with Mark on the show, as you know because you were there running the boards for us.
Yep.
But without the right to bear arms, we don't have any freedom. And when I look at what's happening in Los Angeles right now, and I'm watching the Democrats across the country support the lawlessness that's happening out there. Now, I'm of the opinion that those like Hakeem Jeffries, Maxine Waters trying to get into a federal building. There's a California Democrat that's been running her mouth. I'll get her name in a few minutes. We'll name her maybe in the next break. We're waiting for AWR to call. But nonetheless, as far as I'm concerned, these people should be arrested.
Yeah, no one's above the law.
Well, why are they? And I put a couple tweets out earlier. A simple response to this is the 27 words of the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It's an end-all, do-all. You have a right to protect yourself from these animals, ladies and gentlemen, who want to harm you. You are witnessing
AWR hold
the end-all. This is what the Democrats had in store when they started allowing these millions of illegal, unvetted, criminal scumbags into this country. You're seeing it unfold right now. And I know we've got AWR on the line. We'll talk with him about that right now. AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News. Welcome in, brother. How are you?
I'm good. Good to be with you.
Always a pleasure to have you here, man. What are your thoughts on what you're seeing unfolding in California right now? And I want to throw the reminder out to people. All those people rioting, folks, they're Democrats. All the people supporting the rioters are Democrats. All the people supporting the Mexican flag wavers and the Palestinian flag wavers are Democrats. All the people waving the flags are Democrats. AWR, your thoughts on that?
I think more importantly than those things, all the people opposing ICE and the police are Democrats. And I think that's what's important. And, if you go back and you look at videos when there was violence on campuses in California when Ronald Reagan was governor of California, Trump has not said this, but Reagan said this, and this is a paraphrase. It's not exact, but he said if they want blood, that's what they'll get. And he called out the National Guard on them. That's the only way that you can stop these people. These people will destroy property. They're throwing rocks and concrete and whatever else at ICE vehicles. I personally think Trump's response is way better than my response would be. Because if I was responding, if I was in charge of the response, we'd already be on our 16th or 17th Kent State. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you have a right to protect yourself. You have a right to defend your life. You have a right to defend your property. And this is just the juxtaposition here is fascinating to me because here we are back in California. You can remember back in 92, AWR, the riots, and we saw the Korean shop owners protecting and defending themselves in California with AR-15s, America's favorite rifle. So it's like it's going full circle here, ladies and gentlemen. Exercise your right to bear arms. You have the right to do that. Let's go to AR-15s. Speaking of AR-15s and AK-47s, you wrote about this. I was just having the conversation with Alan Gottlieb. Justice Elena Kagan's writing for the majority. You and I talked about this past week. I found it fascinating. I want your take on this. Is she going to be able to backtrack from her common use statements in this opinion, or is the cat out of the bag? And then I do have a theory I want to bounce off of you as well, and I'll get your opinion on that in a moment. But first, your thoughts on that opinion.
I mean, I don't see how she could backtrack. It is the majority opinion. It's right there in clear language. She said AR-15s and AK-47s are widely, that's what she used, widely legal and bought by ordinary consumers. And I don't know where you go from there. She also linked to an NPR article explaining that the AR-15 is the most popular rifle in America. I don't know where you go from there unless you go yes vote on striking down the assault weapons ban. That's all I know.
Yeah, I guess if there's a backtrack, as I was talking about with Alan, at all, because we now know we're going to get a case. That's going to happen. We're confident of that. We're all angry that we didn't get this one that had already been fully briefed. But we didn't, ladies and gentlemen, so we can cry in our spilled milk or we can move on. We're going to have no choice but to move on. We know we're going to get one based on Kavanaugh's writings. And in talking with Alan, I think she gave herself a little bit of an out. She's admitting that today they are in wide use. She's admitting they're in common use. That doesn't mean that she agrees with that. So when we do get an assault weapons ban case, this is going to be fascinating to watch how she comes down on this, AWR, after writing this opinion for the majority in the Mexico case.
She'll look foolish if she comes down the way you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't care how she feels about it. She's not a justice to tell me how she feels about it. And so, yeah, she'll look foolish if she does that.
All right. Could this be a statement, a political statement from the court? Because you had all three liberal justices in agreement with that opinion. Brown wrote a very long concurrence, which I also thought was fascinating, in complete agreement with the decision and the use of the firearms that are in common use. And we all know in 3 Supreme Court victories, Second Amendment related cases, that you cannot ban guns in common use. Is this a political statement from the court? Could it be saying, look, this party is so far off its rails, meaning the Democrat Party, that if they ever want to win another election again, could they possibly be signaling to the Democrat Party, guys, you're going to lose the gun issue, take it off the table, move more to the center, or not?
Yeah, I don't see that. You would be concerned with Kagan not following her own opinion if you really believe that. So that's not the case. I just believe Kagan voiced her opinion, and that's where we are, and Brown did too. So we'll see what happens. They'll either stick to what they wrote or they won't, but I believe that'll only embolden a majority. It won't hurt a majority.
Yeah, I'm not going to be shocked if they rule against an assault weapons ban or rule in favor of an assault weapons ban, let me put it that way. But it will be very difficult for her to do that after she's already penned this opinion. Or will it? Democrats backtrack on themselves all the time. Left-wingers
it'll be
backtrack. I mean, I don't have the answer to the question. I'm just asking the question. But it is a fascinating topic to talk about because we're going to find out at some point within the next 2 sessions, it appears. Hopefully much sooner than later. We're going to know if her, Brown, Sotomayor are going to backtrack or not on this decision. It will be really interesting to see.
30.
AWR, were you shocked that it was 9-0? I'll let you take us to the break with that. Were you shocked that it was a 9-0 decision? Alan seemed to be a little bit. He thought it would be 1, obviously, but he was a little surprised it was 9-0.
Yeah, I'd have to say that I was too. I was expecting a 7-2 or even a 6-3. And I certainly wasn't expecting Kagan to write the majority opinion. That, to me, is what's so heartening.
Yeah, that was interesting, no question about it. And the fact, ladies and gentlemen, that if you go in and read that opinion, and I would highly recommend that you do so, you can find the links out there. You can get on the SAF list, and you can link to that opinion. I believe AWR's got a link to it as well. You can hear in the quotes from the opposing counsel all of the gun grabber lingo in there, like common sense. So we know who funded it. So it was a fascinating decision all the way around. When we come back, one more segment, more to talk about with AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News. The following segment of Armed American Radio is being brought to you by AttorneysOnRetainer.com. AttorneysOnRetainer.com. Visit them today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be flipping that rejoin out. It's AttorneysOnRetainer.us, but AttorneysOnRetainer.com gets you there as well. So either one, visit them, or you really want to make it easy, just visit Attorneys on Retainer by clicking the Attorneys on Retainer link right smack in the center of my homepage at Armed American Radio. It is an absolute, ladies and gentlemen, some things in life are just no-brainers. If you carry a gun, you don't want to wait till it's too late. God forbid you have to use it. $50 off your sign up immediately with the AAR promo code over there, and all you have to do is click on it on our page. It takes you right there, or AttorneysOnRetainer.com/AAR. Guess what? You're going to get the $50 discount off over there, and you're also going to have $35 a month, $25 a month per person if it's a family membership like mine is, and I've got an attorney on retainer immediately. God forbid I have to use my firearm to defend myself, and something bad happens, there's an investigation, calling my lawyer immediately because they're there for me instantly, and my cost isn't going up. It's $35. I don't care if we go through the process. My freedom's on the line. I've got an entire team of attorneys. If you carry a firearm, this is just one of those no-brainer decisions, ladies and gentlemen, because guess what happens if you carry a gun, you have to use it, and you don't have them? There ain't an attorney out there that's going to have any problem putting a lien on your home to get paid, and it's going to be a hell of a lot more than $35 or $25 a month. No-brainer decision. Do it if you carry a gun. It is that simple. Have an attorney, and the largest law firm in the country, self-defense attorneys, that's all they do in all 50 states is practice self-defense law on your behalf. And it's not just one attorney. You have every single attorney on their staff, and I met a slew of them. They're incredible people. They have your back. No-brainer decision. You can click on AttorneysOnRetainer.com at my website. It will take you right there. Sign up. It's very quick to do, and you can sleep better at night. AWR Hawkins, welcome back to the Car Firearms Group studios, brother. It's a pleasure to have you here on the 6 Hour Mike with us today, baby.
Good to be back.
All right, so Mike Johnson, we're going to move through some of these stories here that you're at. I'm going to go down the list here because these are your most recent pieces. No real rationale for federal tax on suppressors. Where are we here? Any idea what's going on with the reconciliation? We have a lot of support in Republican circles on this. Are we finally going to wipe out that federal tax? It's the first step before getting rid of the NFA. If we can't get rid of the NFA, if we can't wipe out the ATF, this is a great first step. Is it going to happen?
I mean, it seems like it is. Anything could happen in the Senate, but right now it doesn't seem to be the focus in the Senate. In other words, it doesn't seem to be the focus to get rid of this repeal of the tax. So it seems to me a very hopeful situation.
I feel good about it as well, but I'm going to stop right there because I don't know what's happening. Let the Democrats do what they do. Yeah, it appears their eye is on the ball of over there supporting rioters and criminals and thugs and punks and losers and illegals. Let them do that. Meanwhile, hopefully this thing just sails right through because Trump will sign it. It will be a done deal because it's part of his one big, beautiful bill. Louisiana, what's going on in Louisiana? Louisiana would allow concealed carry on parade routes. Is this because this is a big deal because there's lots of parades in Louisiana?
And right now, if you have something that's a parade or some other type of demonstration that's large enough that you have to get a permit to have it, they have limits on where you can carry and can you carry at all. And this would break that away so that you can be armed for self-defense at a parade. I think it's a great move, especially when you think about the terror attack January 1, 2025. Right. On Bourbon Street, I've just thought, I don't want to say here's what I would have done because you can't say that, but I would say what I would like to have seen is a concealed carrier jerk a pistol and put about 5 rounds through that windshield and splatter his brains all over the back window. And, he might have killed 2 or 3, but that'd be a lot better than 14. And we could have stopped that mess. And you can't show weakness. If you flash weakness, people like that terrorist will take advantage of it. And this gets rid of a little weakness, so I like it.
Yeah, it does. And, I think what I heard you just say is government flashes weakness, right? By not allowing people to defend themselves. This shows a little bit of strength. And I'm going to assume that this would also apply to Mardi Gras.
I would assume. I don't have that detail.
Unless there's a carve-out, I can't imagine there would be.
Right.
Don't know.
And that's what we need. We need, again, I've never understood if I can carry a gun at Walmart, at Chevron, at Chili's, at the coffee shop, at Discount Tire, at wherever. How come all of a sudden if I'm in the French Quarter I can't have a gun for self-defense? How come all of a sudden if I'm at a school I can't have a gun for self-defense? None of it makes sense. It's all arbitrary. So we got to get rid of it.
Well, they're sensitive places, Parades are sensitive places.
Yeah.
There's lots of people there. It's a sensitive place. Yeah. It's also a gun-free zone, which is why somebody can go in there and do what they want. And we'll be talking about that, a lot about that, with Dr. John Lott coming up in the next hour. Michigan Senate Dems. They just can't get enough, folks. The Democrats cannot get enough. Michigan Senate Dems have passed a bump stock ban and new ghost gun regulations. AWR, Ryan Petty tells us, we talk about it all the time, but the Democrats are never going to stop. The anti-gun left is never going to stop. Just when you think they can't go lower, they find a way to dig themselves a deeper hole. Why are they doing this?
Well, it's just because they're ideologues, so they can't stop. It's all they're not in office to make you safe. They're in office to secure their worldview. And so shame on the voters that voted for them. So I hate to sound mean, but if you live in Michigan and you vote for a Democrat, sorry about your luck. So you're going to lose your freedom. That's how it goes. Just like the people in California, they voted for Democrats, they lost their freedom. Like the people in New York, they voted for Democrats, they lost their freedom. Just like the people in New Jersey. I could keep going. But that's why I don't frequent those states. I stay in states like Oklahoma, Texas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Arizona. I don't stay in states where mouth-breathing liberals who their lips move when they read to themselves. I don't stay in states like that because they want to destroy your freedom, and I don't want any part of it.
North Carolina, we're going to close out with this one. This is a great conversation, ladies and gentlemen, but North Carolina right now is on track to become the 30th constitutional carry state. Do you feel good about North Carolina? I kind of do.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same. I kind of do, or as one of my old friends used to say, Kentucky, kind of, sorta. So I'm in a kind of, sorta. Yeah, that's where I am. The problem with this bill, there's so much opposition with the mouth breathers. All the same story. Oh, it's going to be blood in the streets. But North Carolina already has concealed carry. So what do you mean? You act like people are going to be carrying guns for the first time. The only difference between constitutional carry and concealed carry in that state is that now 18-year-olds will be able to carry, as they should.
Of course.
As they should. So, that's that. There's your big difference, and everybody's sweating it out, except you won't have to have a permit. So that's the second difference. But you shouldn't have to have a permit. And so that's how it is.
And the beautiful part about this, ladies and gentlemen, and part of what's going to make it hard for the Dems is there's 29 other states that North Carolina supporters can turn to show their lying arguments are, in fact, just that, nothing but a pack of lies, because they cannot point to the blood in the street argument that they're going to try to use because they're Democrats and they're gun haters in North Carolina. There is a 29-state record before them that's going to haunt them. But they're going to try because that's what they do. AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News, thank you for being here, brother. Love you for a reason. Fan favorite for a reason. AWR Hawkins, follow him on Instagram. Follow him on Twitter. Make sure you read everything that he pens over at Breitbart News. You can go down the list with us when we're talking with him on all of his great pieces that he puts up for Breitbart News. BreitbartNews.com. Constitutional carry, hopefully, in North Carolina. When we come back, we've got Kwong Win, Arizona representative, for a half hour, and Dr. John Lott, followed by a classic Armed American Radio roundtable with the crew. Parkland Father Ryan Petty, Car Arms CEO Justin Moon, and you got it, Brad Primo. Don't go away. Back at 6 after.
You just filled your prescription for freedom.
With Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association
The National Rifle Association.
on the Armed American Radio Network.
Oh, boy. I tell you what, I'm going to regret this big cup of coffee by the time I get off the air today, Greg. Your mic is live, by the way. And but that's okay, because it's Well, it's a necessity today.
Extra caffeine?
I did get the Colombian roast instead of the house blend this time, yeah.
I understand the breakfast roast is the one that's got the most caffeine in it because it's lightly roasted versus
they don't
any
have
kind of a
they don't
dark
have a
roast.
breakfast roast on there. They have 100% Colombian. I think they have medium, dark, 100% Colombian, and a house blend.
Yeah, we've got the Colombian and the Berkeley here in the network.
This one here was a Circle K.
There you go.
I had to get out of the house today just for a little bit, and I was tired. I didn't feel like rummaging through because we drink so much of that Defender coffee. I couldn't find the other bag, and the little thing I put it in was gone. And because it was gone, I said, I'm just going to run up to Circle K. I got to get out of the house for a little bit. I'm trying to think if I have any funny flight stories coming back. That red-eye flight, the last 5 times I've flown back from Arizona, I've taken that red-eye. Departs 11:25 p.m., between 11:25 and 11:55, generally in that range. But it's a weird flight because you don't get back on the East. I hate flying back to the East Coast. You lose those 3 hours,
Yeah.
And it's a 3-hour and 1-minute flight. And you fly from midnight, 11:25, until 6:02 in the morning. But you've only been in the air for 3 hours. So by the time you get home, you're like, wasn't I just sitting at a picnic table talking to my boys
Yep.
like 4 hours ago, 3 hours ago? It's the weirdest thing.
And now here it is. Sun's coming up.
Yeah. So I didn't sleep well, and I didn't. I bumped it up to first class because red eye flight.
Might as well.
Might as well. I had a bunch of points, so I just bumped it up. And I was in seat C1, so I was right up front. Got off that thing and whipped right through that airport at 6 o'clock in the morning. And well, I tell you what, stepped off that jetway, and the difference in the humidity between the heat in Arizona, which I saw a high of 107 while I was there. And it wasn't anywhere near 107 here, but the humidity was just oppressive, and it was noticeable instantly. What a remarkable difference. The heat out there just fascinates me, man. Golly. Always has.
Dry heat versus the moisture.
Oh, man. All right, guys. We're going to do what's in radio lingo is known as a biology break. We'll be right back with you guys.
is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Car Firearms Group studio
At the Patriot Mobile Communication Center.
on the Sig Sauer Platinum microphone.
Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association.
National Rifle Association.
Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
Hour 2 begins right now, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome inside the Car Firearms Group studios. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day on hundreds of radio stations around the nation. The Sig Sauer microphone is powered up for you here in the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center. And as you just heard from Peter Reef on that intro, it's all being brought to you today by the National Rifle Association. Are you a member? Join us, guys. 800-pound gorilla in the room. The NRA is moving in the right direction, and we need you to help us keep moving in that direction. If you were listening to the previous hour of the program, welcome back. If you were not, go back and listen to it. We're talking with Alan Gottlieb and AWR Hawkins about all the things that are going on out there. And guys, you can join these organizations for chump change, okay? It's $35 a year to join the NRA. You get a discount off the $45 for the 1 year, a 3 year, 5 year, or you can do a life membership. I just re-upped mine not long ago for the 5-year deal. You can visit the National Rifle Association right at my website at armedamericanradio.com.org. Take your pick, doesn't matter. And join us. That promo code will fill out for you. AAR is the code, nra.org/AAR. If you don't want to go to Armed American Radio, you can go right directly there and say, hey, I want to join. Get a cool hat out of the gig, get a few bucks off, get a cool magazine. My choice has always been America's First Freedom. And guess what? You're in the fight. Because if you're not in the fight, you're on the sidelines, folks. It's that simple. Get in the fight. It's that simple. Join us. This is the nation's oldest civil rights organization. Yeah, don't let them tell you it's another one, because it's not. It's the National Rifle Association, over 150 years old. So make sure to join us, would you please, and get in the fight with us. We need you going forward, please. And Armed American Radio needs you. Support our partners and support our sponsors, such as the National Rifle Association. They're bringing the program to you. So support them. It's real easy to do. It's chump change. You can find that $35 in your couch and get in that fight. Help us fix what was. The old NRA is gone. Help us move forward. We need you to do it. Greg, Dallas, we're everywhere on social media, including Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. I'll let you tell everybody else where to go and all those other great places. Get in on the chat over there at Telegram, and then we'll go to Kwong.
Yeah, sure. You can also watch the show over on YouTube and Rumble if you want to search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over on X, it's at AAR Mark. You can also head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com on the website. You'll see the menu icons. Just give that a click, and when that window opens up, you can select your watch live or listen live options. If you want to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
That'll do it, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back in, and thanks for everybody watching, and to all our new affiliates. We'll give you guys a shout-out in the next hour. Appreciate all of you, every single one of you on hundreds of stations around the country. Kwong Win, Arizona House Representative and Chairman of the Judiciary, good friend and fan favorite on the program. Kwong, how you doing, my brother? I miss you already, bro.
Oh man, it was great. Just great seeing you on Wednesday, and just such a popular guy on the second floor, right? When I took you through the second floor, staff was just amazed that somehow a guy like me could get a guy like you to be on the floor. That was really awesome.
Oh, it was a lot of fun, ladies and gentlemen. Kwong had me on the floor of the Arizona House Legislature on Wednesday. I literally got off a flight at 9:14 in the morning and went straight over to you. And what an incredible day that was to watch the House work and to have you. I so much appreciate the shout out. It's so fun and was so neat to do. But to meet, look, Kwong, this just kind of harkens back to, I met a lot of the legislators while we were there. And of course, all Republicans, they're all supporters of the Second Amendment, but we still have a fight. And that's what's so frustrating in a place like Arizona, where it's such a gun-friendly state. Yet we still have a fight, don't we? Even among some of the Republicans.
Yeah, and we had Michael Fanzon, who represented the CDL, speaking yesterday, and he did such a fine job of updating, the town of Chino Valley and the gun group that we had there yesterday. And one of the things he said, I made a mistake. I said, during 23 to 25, I killed 74 gun bills, and Michael got up and he said, well, Representative Wynn just lied to you. They introduced a total of 90 anti-gun bills. I just happened to kill 74 of them. But yeah, according to AZCDL, between 23 and 25, Democrats introduced 90 anti-gun bills. Actually, I can sit down. I have to go through all of them because I myself cannot come up with 90 anti-gun ideas. I can't.
Yeah, well, they
I don't know how to
can.
do it.
They can. Their creativity knows no bounds. I mean, think about that, ladies and gentlemen. In a place like Arizona, of all states, they somehow come up with 90 bills, 90 ways to infringe. And trust me, they'll come up with 91 and 92 and 93 and 94. But here's the kicker. Your governor, let me ask you this, because it is such a gun-friendly place. Who controls the state legislature on both sides?
Republicans by a small margin, very small margin.
How many pro-gun bills will you advance out to hit the governor's desk?
You know, I believe there were 4 or 5 this time around. I'm sorry. According to Michael, it was 8 gun bills on her desk, and she signed 7 of them. I'm sorry, she vetoed 7 of them.
Vetoed 7.
Yeah, she vetoed 7 of them, and somehow we got one by her, and we got one by her last year as well, and that was my bill.
Yeah, but she got tricked on that one, though, didn't she?
Yeah. So here's the problem. I have a series of about 5, 6, 7, and gun bills in my desk, and I'm just waiting for a Republican governor to come in, and it's only a matter of time. I truly believe that we are going to have a Republican governor in 2027, and with my last term, 27 and 28, I think, no pun intended, but I'm going to go out with a bang. I am going to just introduce gun bills after gun bills after gun bills until they're so tired of me.
I love it. How about 91? How about 91 gun bills, Kwong?
Yeah.
Right?
We're going to have
turnabout's
to
fair play, right?
Right. And I was listening to the earlier hour, and you were talking about Mexico versus Smith and Wesson.
Yeah, we're going to go there with you.
We have that statute here. We have our own version of FLACA here in Arizona, and it was one of my bills in 2021. And I am going to expand it to include foreign nations to prevent them from ever suing a manufacturer existing here in the state of Arizona.
And PLACA, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who might be new to the show, PLCAA is the acronym, and it stands for Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act, and you'll hear it referred to from time to time as PLACA, as you just heard from Kwong. So if you hear that and you didn't know what that was, that's exactly what that means. And while I'm at that, some people ask me all the time, what is SAF? That's SAF, Second Amendment Foundation. So you'll hear those out there. When you hear those, that's what we're referring to. Those are 2 common ones. I'm actually very surprised that Mexico hasn't attacked Arizona yet because of the gun shops close to the border, what happened down there with Fast and Furious, et cetera. But this Mexico case puts a squash now, not just on foreign nations, but it also puts a squash, Kwong, on the anti-gunners, as Alan Gottlieb was pointing out, for the very reason that this was, they were throwing their support around. If you read the decision, the 9-0 decision, which I did, they clearly could not make the case. And Kagan shot him right down. It was a great decision, very narrow decision, but that's what the case was about. But if you read some of the opponent's counsel lingo that she was referencing in some of the arguments that they were trying to make to somehow justify Smith & Wesson and 6 other manufacturers being responsible for Mexico's inability to control their cartel problem and their murder rates and their crime problems. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, there's only one gun shop in Mexico, and they issue less than 50 permits a year. And that gun shop is in Mexico City, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it might as well not even be there, okay? And, I don't have any reason to doubt the statistics that the guns come from the U.S., but it's not Smith & Wesson's fault. It's criminals' fault. And it was made very clear, Kwong, that was the case. And it was really refreshing to see Brown, Kagan, and Sotomayor also jump in there. So it was a good decision. I would highly recommend that you read it, ladies and gentlemen. But the lingo coming from the opposing counsel was using all of the American gun grabbers lingo. That's who was funding it. That's who was financing the whole 9 yards. It was all coming from Bloomberg, flowing through the Brady's, flowing through Everytown, flowing through Giffords, who, by the way, happens to live in Arizona. Yeah, you get the idea. Kwong, when we come back, we've got one more segment with you, a lot to cover with you, with as much as we can. Always fun to have you here. We're talking with Arizona House Representative and Chairman of the Arizona Judiciary in the House of Representatives, Kwong Win.
Funny.
We'll be right back after this break here in the Car Firearms Group studios. Mark Walters on the 6 Hour Mic. You're listening to the Armed American Radio Network, and we'll be back here at the Patriot Mobile Command Center with you right after this break. Don't go away. following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Help us, please, defend freedom. Visit nra.org/AAR and join and get that great discount if you're watching on any of your devices or your television sets, all that fun stuff. We've got a link right there for you. If you're on a device, you can click on that link and join real quick. Takes just a couple seconds. Fill out a quick form. Bam, you're a member. It's that simple. We need you in this fight. We need you engaged in this fight. Welcome back inside the Car Firearms Group studios. Mark Walters in front of the Sig Sauer microphone here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. This is a Patriot Mobile phone. You can activate one too at patriotmobile.com/AAR, patriotmobile.com/AAR, and you can find all of our great partners, including our newest sponsor at Attorneys on Retainer, attorneysonretainer.us or attorneysonretainer.com. And by doing so, use that AAR promo code, get $50 off, and have an attorney right there. God forbid you need one, you've got one. $35 a month for individual membership, $25 per person for a family membership, and sleep well at night. If you carry a gun, ladies and gentlemen, it's one of those no-brainers. Just get it done. Have them there. God forbid you need it, because I'm telling you right now, if the worst day of your life comes down and you don't, it's too late. Don't find yourself in that position when you don't have to. Don't think to yourself, man, I should have done that, because now it's going to cost you gobs of money that likely you don't have, and you don't want a free attorney at that point. Trust me, unless maybe it's your dad or your wife. You know what I'm saying? Or your husband. Other than that, forget about it. Forget about it. Get an attorney right now. It's available to you. No-brainer decision. Quang Nguyen, Arizona State Rep. Welcome back to the program, brother. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on in California out there right now, Quang. As Martin puts in the chat over here during the show, he says, can we sue Mexico for the folks rioting? Get them to pay for the damages, Quang? Quang, what is happening to the Democrat Party? What is happening?
Oh, you know what? I would dare go out of my way a little bit and say, what's happening with allowing communists in the Democrat Party? Mm-hmm. And that's how I see it. I don't see them as Democrats. When I say the word Democrats, I think of John F. Kennedy and a few other good ones that did exist at one time or another.
They're gone.
But right now, when we're talking about Democrats, my mind goes right to what I know best, what I personally experience is communism. And that's exactly what they're doing. First of all, they're going after your guns. These riots that you see is just a foreplay. But think of the reality is when you lose your guns, can you imagine being like Australia or any of those countries? And then you have the population that's willing to riot and rob you and break into your shop and do all these things without any consequence. And I, personally, I'm glad I'm in the chair of judiciary, because, my job is to make laws to put bad guys away. And I'm not very forgiving, by the way. And so they should thank God that I'm somehow not in California, because I'm just not going to be very much forgiving. And that's exactly how I see that. This is the beginning of communism. That's exactly what it is.
Well, this is the end result. This is what Biden and the Democrat Party wanted. This is why they let them all in by the millions, so this could happen. So I have a feeling, sadly, and we did predict this a few months back, it's not hard to do, but Summer of Love 2.0, here it comes, okay? And we're witnessing that now. This is not going to stop, and I'll tell you why it's not going to stop, Quang, and you know this, because Tom Homan is not going to stop, because ICE is not going to stop, because Trump is not going to stop. And that's exactly what the American people want, is what we don't want to see the rioting, but it's Democrats that are rioting. It's Democrat voters that are rioting.
So you don't see what I'm seeing, Mark. What I'm seeing right now is every other Democrat legislator in the chamber with me, at one time or another, would introduce a bill to allow criminals to go free. They think we're too harsh for these criminals, and they think we're too mean for these guys. Well, I will tell you this: anytime at all they want to let a criminal out, I always think about the victims first.
Well, why don't they?
it's incredible.
It really is.
The Constitution is actually being used by Democrats and some of the bleeding heart Republicans as well, is to use it to defend criminal acts and criminal. I mean, I'm seeing it every day, Mark. They're using our Constitution to protect these criminals instead of using it for law-abiding citizens. And I'm just glad I have that chair for another 3 years.
Well, you know, it's really sad, ladies and gentlemen. What I'm about to tell you is true, and you're watching. If you've seen what's going on in California, you likely have, California, for that matter. If you've seen what's happened out there, and you are, it's unfolding right now. You can turn me off and go watch it live if you want to. It's there. I don't want you to do that, but you can. It's happening. It's unfolding. This is what they wanted. And that's evidenced by the fact that you have top-level Democrats in the names of Hakeem Jeffries, and I even hate to mention her name, you know, Maxine Waters, but trying to get into these buildings, blaming ICE, blaming their own government for wanting to clean criminal. Now, think about this in these terms, Kwong. If you find yourself in a situation where you have to defend your life from a criminal scumbag illegal that is not supposed to be here, the Democrats are going to support that individual and want to come after you and prosecute you for defending your life from one of these folks who shouldn't be here to begin with. And you're the problem. It is truly mind-boggling. It is hard to wrap your head around the fact that there are American politicians supporting foreign flag wavers on American soil who should not be here, period. They broke our laws, Kwong, to get here. And there are high-ranking American politicians supporting them over American law enforcement removing the worst of the worst. Eventually, hopefully, all of them. But starting with the worst
You know
of
what,
the worst.
Mark? Mark, if I may say this, there are times when I actually do wave the South Vietnamese flag that no longer exists. And you know why I do it? To remind people of how many millions of people that communists killed during the 20 years of the Vietnam War and the Cambodia campaign. Now go back to history and look at the 2 million people killed in Cambodia. That's the only time when I wave that flag to remind people that communists do kill, have killed, and will continue to kill.
And we have American politicians aligned with that ideology in the Democrat Party.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's astonishing when I watch it. It truly is mind-boggling. But you can always take this back to your right to bear arms, ladies and gentlemen. These people are not going to stop. And if you live in a Democrat-run city, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't, be careful this summer, because I'm telling you that these things are going to erupt all year long. And I think we're just seeing the beginning of this, Kwong. Hey, we've got 30 seconds. Let me take this opportunity to say thank you again for everything this week in Arizona. It was wonderful seeing you. Can't wait to see you next month when I get back out there, Kwong. And you keep up the fight out there, brother. Let's look at 91 pro-gun bills coming up when you finally rid yourself of Hobbs in Arizona, which Arizona, please, put yourself back on the right track. It's another place that always frustrates me. Such a bright red conservative place that, like Georgia, you got a Democrat and you got a Democrat, and at least we have a Republican in the governor's mansion. Kwong, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Okay, brother. Have a great rest of your day.
Funny.
That's Kwong Nguyen, ladies and
gone.
gentlemen. Yeah, he's already dropped. That's Kwong Nguyen, Arizona House Judiciary Chair, good friend of this program, and a fan favorite for a reason. When we come back, Dr. John Lott, we've got about 3 or 4 different stories we want to cover with him and some research. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher wanting to let you know that the crew of the Desperado Sport Fish in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and the Second Amendment, and I'm right there with them. Now back to Mark Walters.
Yes, now back to Mark Walters. Welcome inside the Car Firearms Group studios with me. We're on the downside of hour number 2 already, buzzing right by. We're halfway through the broadcast, being heard on hundreds of radio stations across the nation. And we appreciate all of our great new affiliates that we've just added. WIRO, Ironton, Ohio, 106.7 FM. Great to have you here. WTHQ AM, 1030, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Welcome. And the FM on 94.1 in Point Pleasant. WXZQ FM, 100 in Piketon, Ohio. And WZGM AM and FM, 1350 AM, 96.1 FM. Black Mountain, North Carolina, and Asheville, North Carolina. It's great to have you here. Welcome to the broadcast. We'll shout out the new Daily Show ads tomorrow on Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, but there's a number of them as well. So the growth continues. Mark Walters in front of the 6-hour mic for you here at the Patriot Mobile Command Center. Ladies and gentlemen, please go out of your way to visit all of our partners. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com or .org. Take your pick. We got them covered for you. If you're watching on any of your devices that join NRA today by clicking this link is live, you can do that and join us. Use that NRA or use the AAR promo code at NRA. It'll take you right there. Real simple to do. And get in this fight with us. Don't stand on the sidelines. If you're not in the fight, you're on the sidelines, ladies and gentlemen. We need you off the bench, okay? It is incredibly important to do. Off the bench. You can also stack ammo at ammosquared.com. Don't forget that. We got new fun stuff coming up with Barrel Buddy and all of our great partners, including our number one retailer, our exclusive retailer, budsgunshop.com. More about them coming up in the broadcast. Let's go now to the phones. Dr. John Lott, crimeresearch.org. John, always a pleasure to have you here, brother. How are you today?
Doing great. Great to talk to you again.
Always a pleasure. Hey, let's start off. I do want to go to Mexico with you. You know, you've talked about this decision, written about it. I want to go to this with you because it is, while it's a win, it's a limited win, but I really want to get your thoughts on this. It's quite fascinating. That's the subject of today's program. I want to get everybody's take on this. But you have a new survey out. Our survey shows why the recent public health survey claiming 18 million American adults have been present at mass shootings is so ridiculous. John, we talked about this, and it came out to like 1 in 15 Americans or something stupid like that had been a survivor of a mass shooting, something ridiculous, crazy. But you have a new survey out. Will you tell us about this, please? Set the record straight.
Right. Well, so the problem is with this public health survey is that they ask the questions in such ways you can't really compare it to any measure of the actual attacks that are there. And as your response indicates, mine was similar in that this just seemed not very believable. And so we hired McLaughlin and Associates to redo it. And there are a couple of things that we did. One is their definition of a mass shooting wasn't, they talk about 4 more people shot in their paper that was published in a journal, but they don't tell the respondents what they mean by that. They just say mass shooting. Could be 2 people shot or whatever. And so we asked them, have you been present when at a mass shooting where 4 more people have been shot? But then beyond that, we wanted to get some type of time frame because they just asked, it could have been 80 years ago. It could have been in a war for all we know, right, because they don't even say it's a crime that's there. And so we say, have you been present when 4 more people have been shot in a crime? And then we ask them, has it been in the last 10 years or not? And they make a big deal about the gun violence archive, keeping track of mass shootings. And you and I don't put a lot of faith in it. But, if you're going to use it, if you're going to say this is so great, how about if I just use that to compare it to this survey? And over the last 10 years, the 10 years that people are answering questions for, they have a measure of mass shootings, which is probably relatively close. Just anytime you have 4 or more people shot, it's likely to get some type of news coverage. And, there are issues because they include some cases where, 3 people were shot or whatever. But in any case, even if you take their number, it turns out that it's about 1/70th the rate of people being shot that the survey claims. So, if they want to go and say how great the gun violence archive numbers are, which is one of the reasons why I use that, then, you kind of live by the sword, you die by the sword. And it's just, I wanted to make it so that there'd be some kind of real hard numbers, despite whatever we think about the gun violence archive stuff. At least it's harder for them to argue against it because in their own paper, they say how great the gun violence archive numbers are.
Well, John, do they not know that you can do this? Do they not know that this can be debunked? Do they not care? Are they so blinded by ideology? I mean, what is it? Excuse me.
Well, I guess there are a couple of things. I mean, I do think, unfortunately, that these public health people are blinded by ideology, unfortunately. I also don't think they think anybody's going to call them on it or that the journals are going to call them on it. We wrote up a comment. We've sent it in. We'll have to see what happens with it. But one of the problems is that the journals, the public health journals, basically want you to have a response within 4 weeks that you have to send in. And the problem is it took me over a month and a half just to get a survey done. And then I had to write it up, and I had other things to do too. So it's been, their thing came out in March, and we just finished putting this together a few days ago. And so, I don't know whether it's going to make any difference or not, but at least, I'll write an op-ed piece or whatever eventually to try to bring attention to yet another stupid thing that public health people put out on guns.
It's remarkable. Ladies and gentlemen, they want to use your taxpayer dollars to do this and use it
$100 million a year.
$100 million.
Of federal money alone. And then you have California putting in $10 million. You have states from Hawaii to Massachusetts and Washington State and New Mexico and all sorts of other states putting in even more, state taxpayer money into funding this crazy stuff.
And this is why Trump wanted to pull
that money away.
And then, of course,
you have Bloomberg.
Yeah, and of course, Bloomberg throwing it out. And John, we're going to talk about Mexico coming up, but Bloomberg's fingerprints were all over the Mexico lawsuit because if you go and read the decision by Kagan, which you probably have, I'm sure, you'll see that some of the references that were made from opposing counsel as they were arguing their case, why Mexico had a case, which she completely dismantled, by the way. It was remarkable to read. But nonetheless, in a unanimous decision, you see the keywords in there, John, the common sense, lingo that they use. So, I mean, their fingerprints are all over this stuff. But it leaves me with this. I can come up with no other conclusion. I can literally draw no other conclusion than these people sit around, know they're lying about it, and must be talking about it. They have to. Do they just not say, well, let's lie? They're all so much on the same page. No, they do. They have to. It's no different than, editorial boards at newspapers that know they're putting out bunk. The same thing with the networks, the editors at networks, et cetera, and the producers who say, look, no, don't talk about that. Why? Because it doesn't fit their agenda. They clearly know they're doing these things. John, we got 30 seconds till you hear the music. Go for it.
All right. Well, I mean, I wrote a book on this, The War on Guns, dealing with public health research. And, you see, they're going to do a statistical test on something. And, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it a certain way. And you see that they deviate from that.
Yeah.
When I try to review the data the way it should traditionally be done, you get the opposite result. So, they ran it the correct way to begin with, didn't get the result that they wanted, and then redid it in different ways until they could get the result that they wanted to get published.
Folks, these people are just disingenuous liars. It's that simple. And if you want to support John in helping us fix this problem, crimeresearch.org and donate. I got my email yesterday. Thanks for your donation. We'll be right back. The following segment of Armed American Radio is being brought to you by AttorneysOnRetainer.com. AttorneysOnRetainer.com. Visit them today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back to the show. AttorneysOnRetainer.com. AttorneysOnRetainer.us. Go either way. We're going to have a new rejoin up for you that will put that other website, but it all takes you to the same place. Nevertheless, you can get there at ArmedAmericanRadio.com. And as I mentioned before, guys, if you're carrying a firearm, there's just certain things you have to do. Put an attorney in your back pocket. It's that simple. It's a no-brainer. You can find, again, all of our great partners, including Heaven's Harvest. We're going to be talking with Clayton Llewellyn next week on the show, this week coming up on the show. If you read or heard anything about what China has planned for the United States and our agriculture, guys, just get yourself a little bit of food. You'll feel better. It's all right there for you at Heaven's Harvest, heavensharvest.com. Make sure to check them out. The promo code up at AAR, get a discount on it, as you do everywhere. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast continues here in the Car Firearms Group studios. Mark Walters with you on the Sig Sauer mic at the Patriot Mobile Command Center, all being brought to you by the NRA. And if you're watching on your devices, your handhelds, click the link there. Join now. You can see it right below there. Join NRA today by clicking this link. And again, that will take you right to the site. Use the promo code there. It should populate for you automatically. If not, you can put it in, get a great discount, and get off the bench. We need your help now more than ever. The NRA needs your support. Please join us or rejoin us, or up yourself up a level in membership. It's easy to do. Dr. John Lott, crimeresearch.org. Welcome back, brother. So I during the break, John, I was just thinking a little bit about what we were talking about and how disingenuous it is that these people would actually get a result, not like it, and in order to they make a conscious decision. They talk about it. That didn't come out the way we wanted. Let's do it this way. To me, that's evil. When they know they're doing that. That is so misleading. It should be criminal, quite frankly. John, I'll let you take that away. Then we'll go to Mexico. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not sure you really want to go and criminalize research, but look, I mean, is it disappointing? Yeah, sure. But, unfortunately, academia as a whole has gotten very politicized. I spent most of my adult life in academia, and I'm not sure what to do about it at this point. It's, there's a survey about 15 or maybe more years ago now of the top 100 law schools, and like 93% of the professors were registered Democrats. You had 4% that were registered as Republicans. And I would explain to people that even understates the imbalance. And the reason is because you have to get a supermajority vote. So you can be a really nutty left-winger that's so nutty that you alienate a third of the Democrats and you'll still get tenure. But if you're a Republican, you have to get 2/3 of the Democrats to vote for you for tenure. And the only people that are going to do that are people who are in areas that nobody cares about, like tax, or that they can't hire anybody in. You're not going to see conservatives go and be constitutional law professors, things that they think are very important areas that are there. Basically, the types of people who make it through, even in tax, are generally going to be individuals who, they are very apolitical, or they're fairly liberal Republicans. I taught at the University of Chicago Law School, and I was at Yale Law School for a while after that. Chicago was considered a very right-wing place because maybe at the time, possibly as many as 20% of the faculty might have voted for a Republican.
Wow. Not today. Probably opposite.
No, well, now I don't. Now I think they only have one kind of conservative Republican on the faculty at the University of Chicago Law School.
And that's a token, so they can say it's bipartisan. John, let's talk about the Mexico Smith & Wesson case. I really want to get your take on this. And you read the decision from Kagan. Alan was surprised, not that we won the case, or that Smith & Wesson won the case and the manufacturers did, because of the strength of the PLCAA, the Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act, for those of you who might not know, just to repeat that for you, or otherwise you'll hear it named as PLACA. But the fact that it was a 9-0 unanimous decision, and Kagan wrote the decision, and it's a good decision. I agree with everything in the decision, and then you had the concurrence, of course, with Brown, and obviously it was a unanimous decision, even though Sotomayor did not write further on it. Were you surprised by the 9-0 decision? What are your thoughts on this? Take it away.
I wasn't surprised by the overall decision. I agree with Thomas's dissent, though. I think there's a big gaping loophole that's there. That while I'm glad that they came down where it did, it could have gone farther. So look, people have to understand what happened originally. Was back 30 years ago or whatever, 25 years ago. The idea was you have all these cities and other places to bring simultaneously lawsuits all across the country in different places to essentially bleed gun makers and gun sellers dry financially just because of the legal costs that were there. So you had taxpayers footing the legal bills on the one side, and you had what are often relatively small companies trying to pay the legal bills on the other side. And so it wasn't that the people bringing the lawsuits thought that they had a strong legal case on the merits. It was just that they would win by a war of attrition.
Right.
And so that was the point of the 2005 law, to prevent that type of abuse. The problem that Clarence Thomas points out is that so the law says that you can still sue them if they break the law when they're selling the guns, okay, either state or federal law. And Thomas says, you really need to have a finding that they broke the law before you go to the next stage, which are these civil suits that are there. And unfortunately, they don't do that. Unfortunately, Kagan's decision leaves open the door that you could have all sorts of discovery, and you could have them going through the whole process as the civil case, and only later on down the road, after huge legal resources have been spent, that you would have the court say, okay, well, they didn't break the law, so, we'll drop it at this stage. Thomas was saying, look, you got to, before you get to that, you should have a finding that they broke the law. And I think he's right. And I think it's just going to be something that they're going to have to deal with again in the future. And you're going to have still a lot of these lawsuits that are there. I mean, you had Remington go bankrupt because, even though I think eventually they would have won the case. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just, we're going to have a series of these cases still.
Yeah, John, I think you're right. And ladies and gentlemen, we're out of time here, but that's called the predicate exception to the PLCAA, what John is talking about. And I know from personal experience that when you go through that entire process, that's where all the money is spent, is going through that process. And that's what the other side knows is going to happen. And what Thomas was talking about in his dissent was fixing that predicate exception, that there has to be a violation of it first. Not just an accusation of a violation, but an actual violation. John Lott, thank you for being here, brother. We didn't get to Citibank, but we'll do that maybe on a weekday show or next week, because it's kind of an evergreen story, but it's a good one, and it's not going away. Another victory for gun owners, in a sense. John Lott, crimeresearch.org, ladies and gentlemen. You can help us over there. I got my email, like I said, just yesterday. Thank you for your donation. I donate $50 a month over there. Greg here in Dallas, Texas at the Mothership donates every month as well. You can do the same thing. However much you can, $5, $10. Look, we're not going to get help from the mainstream, lamestream media. This is the way we get the information out, talking about it here, putting the op-eds out, etc. And John Lott is doing God's work over there. He's the one that's fixing these problems by putting out the truth and upending all of their lies. Armed American Radio's Monstercast continues with a classic Armed American Roundtable coming up next with Brad, Ryan, and Justin. We'll see you on the flip side.
All right, he called in. I've got him.
Got it. Mics and cameras are live.
Almost there. Close to close.
Close to close. Hadn't heard that in a while.
And 30.
Guys, you haven't heard the close to close in a while, have you? Ooh, shouldn't be drinking a sugar-free Red Bull right now.
You're gonna pay for it.
I don't know. I'm fading fast though.
Yeah.
Last night at this time I was boarding, and I've had no sleep.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Car Firearms Group studio
At the Patriot Mobile Communication Center.
on the Sig Sauer Platinum microphone.
Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association.
National Rifle Association.
Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, Armed American Radio's Roundtable, classic AAR Roundtable with the crew. Right now, here in the Car Firearms Group studios, the Sig Sauer mic fired up for you. I'm getting all kinds of notifications over here as we're live on the program today. At the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center, you are on the Armed American Radio Network. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing, my brother?
Not too bad, man. Hour 3 got here quick. Zoom.
It did.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's been a long day, and we still have a lot to talk about with the crew. I'm fading fast, but
Come on, sugar-free Red Bull.
come on,
Kick in.
sugar-free Red Bull, kick in. Kick in. I'm going to pay for that later. You know what's going to happen? It'll be 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm going, probably shouldn't have done that.
Yep, be up all night.
That might have to have a nice adult beverage after the show to
Little bring me down.
Okay, yeah, maybe. Well, you never know. You never know. All right, Craig, we're on Facebook.com /Armed American Radio, and I'll let you tell everybody. That's if you want to watch us live. I'll let you tell everybody else where they can go and participate in the chat and all that fun stuff. We'll get going with the crew.
Yeah, sure. You can also watch us live over on YouTube and Rumble. Just search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over on X, we're at AAR Mark. The usual suspects, armedamericanradio.org or .com on the website. Hit that menu icon and select your listen live or watch live option. If you want to join our live chats, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
We got the whole crew?
Everybody's here.
Let's do it. Brad Primo, CEO, Lead Slingers. How you doing, my brother? Welcome in.
Doing great, Mark. Thanks for having me. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Always a pleasure to have you here, brother. Justin Moon, CEO of Car Firearms Group. How you doing, brother?
Doing good, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Let's get ready to rock and roll. And Parkland father, Ryan Petty. How are you, brother?
Mark, I'm doing great. Calling you from out of town on the phone this week, but glad to be here.
Always a pleasure to have you. Can you tell us where you're at? Where are you? Are you in parts unknown, or can you tell us where you are?
I am in Orlando, beautiful Orlando, only about 55, 60 miles away from my home, but I am trying to get checked into my hotel and got a full week of conferences this week, so all good, but had to dial in from the regular phone today.
Is it political conferences? Anything you can talk about, or is it other work-related stuff? Are you talking about freedom, school choice? What do we got going on here? School safety, I meant.
Yeah, so this week we've got what we call, we've gathered all of our Florida school safety specialists in Orlando. It's the week after school's out. We bring them all here. We get them trained. There's probably, I think there'll be at least 1,000 people here.
Wow.
But we're going to train them on the latest threats to schools and how to prevent violence in schools and how to prevent the kind of things that happen in Parkland. So it's a massive event. I'm going to keynote in the morning.
Wow.
And just remind them how important this mission is, and but it's really awe-inspiring to see. You know, back in 2018, there wasn't anybody. There were very few people focused on school safety. Now we've got thousands of people in the state of Florida focused on it. So yeah, it's good to be here. I always like to be at the ranch, though.
Yeah, I'm no doubt. But a quick question: will DeSantis be there?
I don't believe the governor will be here to this conference. No.
Okay. Yeah, because I know he's been very vocal about this, and he's got limited time left, and I know he wants to get as much as he can get done. All right, so let's kick off the conversation with this, guys. We got to go current events. Brad, I'm going to start with you. I introduced you first, and let's talk about what's going on in Los Angeles right now. You know, I'm going to say the same thing I said in the previous 2 hours and what I put out in tweets. The rioters in LA are Democrats. The rioters' supporters are Democrats. And I'm just going to start right there. Brad, what's your take on what's happening and what should be the end result?
Oh, man.
Careful, FCC, careful, brother. You know, I hear that chuckle. I know where you're going with that.
I mean, you know, you're spot on about Democrats. I mean, look, we haven't all been getting, you know, video doorbells because, you know, Republicans are stealing packages off our front porch. You know what I'm saying?
Great.
Democrats, this is a culmination of Democrat policy. This is where it leads us. It leads us to division. It's violence. It is their favorite tool. We knew it was coming.
Yes, we did.
We talked about it on this show. How many times we talked about this show? We just wait till the summer because we know what's coming. Well, it's here. And, you know, the one good thing I can say about it is I think that there's a lot more of the country that is disgusted by this. They're fully supportive of the federal government moving harshly against these people. Let's not forget that what this is about, ultimately, is Democrats want slave labor. They also know that if we get rid of illegal aliens, they're going to lose about 20 seats in the House. All these moves they've made are trying to solidify power, not by earning it, not by getting it through the vote, but by basically stealing it and then making it impossible to assail afterwards. That's why they're activating these goons in the street. We have foreigners, invaders, waving flags, Mexican flags, on our streets while they're burning vehicles and assaulting our police officers, assaulting our federal officers. And Democrat politicians are not only either they're being silent or they're outright supporting it. That tells you exactly who they are. And my dream outcome would be, like, we don't need to worry about, like, these protesters need to worry, like, we need to put a cordon around that area. They don't get to leave, right? They don't get to leave until we filter all of them, figure out who the illegals are. If they're illegal and they're rioting, they're going to Guantanamo. If they're American citizens, they're going to get thrown under a jail and wait a federal trial just like the January 6th people. They're going to become political prisoners. I don't care. Call them that if you want to. But they're going to face justice. And the foreigners, at this point, live ammo. I don't care. Like, you don't get to come to a country, burn buildings, assault people, throwing bricks at moving vehicles is attempted homicide. There's video of them doing it. Mm-hmm. They should have been shot for it, and I would feel bad if they do.
And that's, by the way, they have been warned that lethal projectiles are on the table. Justin, you heard, Brad, you just gave us the hour, honestly. There's a lot to unpack there, a lot, and I agree with absolutely everything you said. Justin Moon, this was the end result that the Democrats were hoping for by opening the doors and allowing these people into this country illegally, Justin. We are witnessing it. And Brad, you are spot on. Justin, you know it. We've talked about it. I wish I had $1 for every time we talked about it. I'd have all of my money back. But this is exactly what they wanted. This was planned, and now it's unfolding. And we warned people on this program that Summer of Love 2.0 was coming, and here it is. Justin, take it away. But from what, just the questions there and the comments and what you heard from Brad, because he's spot on.
Well, Mark and Brad, you guys are absolutely right. The Democrats have opened up the gates, and they've let all the barbarians in. And now the barbarians are running rampage throughout Democratic cities, and they're going to burn down a lot of I wouldn't be surprised if they burned down every Democratic-controlled city in America, because the Democrats want it, and they're going to make it happen.
So, Justin, when you see this, when you see the end result, ladies and gentlemen, I know it's hard. It is hard to wrap your head around, Brad, and Ryan will get you on this too, and Justin. It's hard to wrap your head around a U.S. president and a U.S. administration that intentionally allowed this to happen, and a mainstream media complicit, Justin, in this.
Well, Mark, you have to remember the Democrats are the party of slavery, and they want to return to slavery. They want to enslave all the free people of America and make them their slaves.
And, Brad, you mentioned slave labor. Okay, that's exactly what they want, is cheap labor. They've all gotten rich off of it. and it continues to happen. And there's Republicans in there too. I'm going to be fair here. All right? There's Republicans in there as well too. Excuse me, but there's a lot of establishment in there. I could go to McConnell and everything. We don't have enough time to go there. But the fact of the matter is the people that are rioting, Ryan, are Democrats. The people supporting the rioters are Democrats, and it is coming from the highest echelon on down. As far as I'm concerned, people like Hakeem Jeffries, people like Maxine Waters, and the rest of them should be locked up and charged with federal crimes, Ryan. Are we going to see anything like that happen, or are we just going to hear yet again, well, we need another investigation, and nothing comes of it? Are we going to grow a pair now and do what Brad said, cordon off this area and put these people behind bars? 30 seconds.
Yeah, Mark. No, I don't think we will, because I think look, what they want is images and video and of violent, federal agents attack, coming after these protesters, using excessive force, using extreme force against these quote unquote protesters. These are paid rioters. Let's just be honest about who they are. They're Democrats that don't go to work every day. They get paid to come in and protest, but they want that. They need that. They want to stoke emotion and fear in the American people that Trump's some kind of fascist. So this is what they want. This is what they're trying to do, and they believe this is the best path to get what they want.
It will backfire, ladies and gentlemen. The conversation continues right after the break. Don't go away. following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I left that link up for you right down below me. You can see it if you're watching on your devices. Join NRA today by clicking this link. You can do that. Ladies and gentlemen, we need your support over there. The NRA definitely and desperately needs your help. Let's help get that organization back up to 4.5 million members. Even at 3.5 million, it has shed some members. We all know what happened in the past. We are not looking backwards. We are looking forward, and we need you to help us. You can also support Armed American Radio by doing that. This is a win-win all the way around. It is an absolute no-brainer. Join us. It's $35. You save $10 off over there when you click on that link, or just go to my website, armedamericanradio.com, and join the National Rifle Association. You see what's happening in California? Folks, these people hate your guts. Join the 800-pound gorilla in the room. It's always been the NRA. It's still the NRA, okay? And this is a new NRA going forward. Join us at nra.org, nra.org/AAR. Just click on the link right there. You'll see them right there. Brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Click the link. It will take you right there. Get a discount, get a cool hat, get a great magazine, save a few bucks. If you've let your membership lapse, I did. I rejoined for 5 years. You can do the same thing. That was a great package over there. You can go life. You can go 1 year, 3 year, 5 year life member. It's easy to do. It's right there on the landing page. Go there. Join us, please. It's $35 for the year. Support the National Rifle Association. Support your gun rights. All this stuff we're talking about. Guys, they're not going away. Ryan, welcome back to the Car Firearms Group studios. You were the one that famously said, the left will what, Ryan?
Never stop.
They'll never stop. And they're not going to, ladies and gentlemen, ever. That's why we have to do everything we can in our power. Join your state organizations wherever you live, particularly if you're behind the blue wall. It's more important than ever. And the National Rifle Association, in conjunction with other groups, is going to be working feverishly with the DOJ and with your local legislators out there at the NRA, ILA, behind the blue wall where you happen to be. If you're in one of those 12 states that Gottlieb asked Pam Bondi and the DOJ to investigate for coming after you. And if you don't believe me, look, I'm going to do this right now live on the air, guys, and let's just see what happens. Gun control. I'm going to Google this right now. I have not done this yet today. Let's see it. Fox 40 News, California gun control bill that could ban popular Glock pistol sales move forward. Advocates rally for gun control at San Francisco City Hall. Analysis, big banks abandon post-Parkland policies. I can click more news. We go right down the list. Every single time we do this, we see gun control after gun control after gun control. Federal judge approves Colorado's age limit for firearms purchases. New York Post, one right after the other. The NRA is in your corner. Please join us over there, okay? And let's try to change this, and we can do it with the new NRA. Brad Primo, CEO Lead Slingers. I want to ask you the same question that I asked Ryan in the previous one. Are we going to see anything? Everything that you mentioned, you really did give us a full hour of conversation here, quite frankly. You know, because I agree with everything you said. Cordon it off, get these people out of here. First question, are we going to see any results? And second, the Trump administration's not going to take this. Tom Homan's not going away. In fact, he's going to send more ICE agents to L.A. I guarantee it. And isn't that what has to happen? And I guess the third question on this is, isn't this what the American people voted for, regardless of the way the media is framing this?
We absolutely voted for it. And, I think I'm going to kind of break with Ryan here for a minute just because, if this is the first Trump administration, I think he'd be right. I think the second time around, like I said it before, we have a fully weaponized Donald Trump in office now. He doesn't have to worry about re-election. He came in with a mandate, a stronger mandate than what he had when he got elected the first time around. The American people have had years now to get just sick and tired of being sick and tired, really. And so I think he's got a lot more leeway, and I think and he has a lot more focus. If you just listen to the man speak, he just seems a lot more focused and a lot more determined. I think he knows this. Donald Trump needs a scalp. He needs to come out of this with at least one scalp. I don't care if it's Maxine Waters, if it's the mayor of L.A., police chief, somebody is in charge out there. He needs their scalp because they're complicit somehow, and we've got to get somebody. And it needs to be somebody important. I'm not talking about just the street thugs. Street thugs, we need to round them up by the thousands, however many they are, deal with them. They can, whatever we got to do with them. but we need one of their big boys. We need a good scout because we need to make an example out of them, and we need to crucify them and let people see what happens when you come against this country. This is not a law enforcement problem. This is not civil
No, this is
disobedience.
national security.
This is right. This is. I mean, and I'm going to tell you right now, I would not be surprised. We may never find out about it. I would not be surprised to find some sort of foreign intelligence fingerprints on this either.
Likely China more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
We have, Justin, let me get your comments on what you just heard from Brad and the same questions to you first. And then I want to go to a top story on Fox right now with Kamala Harris on the lead picture here, which is just incredible, guys. It'll make you sick to your stomach. But Justin, will we finally get something done? Now, Trump moved in with National Guard threats almost immediately and put him there. Gavin Newsom wouldn't do it. In fact, he's poo-pooing the whole thing, saying that Trump is the one that's encouraging the rioting. I mean, this is the way the Democrats think. Try to stop the rioting, and you're the one causing the problem when it's years of their policies that have allowed this to happen, Justin.
Well, you know, we really are at a fight for our lives in our country because we have a global elite who control the banking cartel worldwide, and they control basically all the major corporations except for a few. And they want to, subjugate America. They want to take away our freedoms and enslave us like they're doing in Europe. And China is only one of their pawns. So we really have to win this one and make America great again.
Did you think that we would be here in a second Trump administration? Everybody's all complicit or just complacent, right? No, Trump's in. I don't need any more guns. I don't need to buy any ammo. I'm good. Our country's safe now. Trump's in office. Look what's happening, ladies and gentlemen. Justin, the hatred towards Donald Trump with the Democrats now, they are off the chain. TDS is real. I've never seen anything like it. Chris Murphy is out on Twitter every single day with his fake beard, lying through his teeth. Everything is Trump's fault. Everything is Trump's fault. Here's what she said, quoting here, that Harris claimed that what was unfolding in Los Angeles County was a result of the Trump administration's cruel, calculated agenda to spread panic and division. Justin, cruel, calculated agenda to spread panic and division. These are all, for the most part, they're all Democrats supporting illegal invaders via rioting, and they are supporting them from the top echelons of the Democrat Party on down. And it's Trump's fault because he caused cruel, calculated agenda to spread panic and division. We've only got 30 seconds, Justin. Take us to the break, then we'll go to Ryan.
Well, the good thing is that although the globalists control all the major corporations, the American people are with Trump, 70% of them, and so I don't think they have enough of a massive population to succeed in what they're doing. As long as we hang together, we will win, Mark.
Yeah, we will. The headwinds that we face with the media, though, is astonishing. We had that bonehead from ABC go out and just lose his mind on Twitter. Guys, it's fun for me to watch some of these people from the media get out on Twitter and just put themselves out there like a bunch of fools. They'd be better off putting what they had for dinner on Facebook to show their friends, but they can't help themselves. They snap, they pop, they lose it. Yeah, a so-called journalist with ABC News. What a joke. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sebastian Gorka, letting you know that the Desperado Sport Fishing Crew in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and our right to bear arms. Now, back to Mark Walters.
Back to Mark Walters. I love Sebastian Gorga. Love that rejoin. The Desperado Sport Fish definitely supports Armed American Radio and has for many, many years. We appreciate them. And I want to welcome to all of our new affiliates around the country. Thank you for being here. We've added a whole bunch of you. Great to have you with us, and we'll be announcing some for the Daily Defense tomorrow. Big things in store for Armed American Radio coming up over the next month, no doubt about it. Welcome back inside the Car Firearms Group studios with me, ladies and gentlemen. You can find all of our great partners, all of them, including SIG. We're on the SIG mic. Patriot Mobile, you can find them at armedamericanradio.com or .org. We got them both covered for you. Please support them all. It's why we've been here 17 years, because of that support. And we appreciate it both from our partners and sponsors and from you. We wouldn't be here having all these great things and continuing to grow this show month after month after month. It's remarkable to watch it happen, pushing 20 years on the nation's airwaves already. Incredible stuff. We couldn't do without our partners. We couldn't do without your supporting our partners. So please continue to do so. Again, this is no-brainer stuff. You need ammo? Stack it at Ammo Squared, not at home. It's a no-brainer. $5, $10 a week. I'm already up to over 3,000 rounds of ammo. It's a no-brainer. Bud's Gun Shop. They have everything that you need, and they support Armed American Radio. No-brainer. Need an attorney? Carry a gun? God forbid you have to use it. You will need an attorney. Why not have one in advance? You get $50 off the sign-up fee and pay $35 a month and be able to say this if you're ever questioned. I want to speak with my attorney. And you have an attorney. From that point forward, every single thing you talk about is attorney-client privilege. And if it's too late, it's too late. You can't call and say, hey, can I join now? No, can't. It's too late. You should have done it yesterday. Absolute no-brainer. Why? Figure tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars to defend yourself. You could lose everything you've worked for your entire life defending yourself, and you didn't have to. $35 a month for an individual, $25 per person for family. That's what I have. Attorneysonretainer.us, attorneysonretainer.com. That's covered. Just go to either one of them, Attorneys on Retainer, and have that legal protection immediately. It's one of those things, why wouldn't you do that? So please, need extra food? Heaven's Harvest has you. These are no-brainers. Take advantage of them. That's why we have them with us. All of them are great, and you can find them all at armedamericanradio.com. Ryan, I want to go back to you. And guys, there's a great piece in Fox News that popped just 58 minutes ago. California sheriff calls Harris's statement on anti-ICE riots an embarrassment. Take a listen to this. Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco, he's also running for governor in California. Wouldn't it be beautiful to see this guy win? Blasted former Vice President Kamala Harris over her claims that the Trump administration is to blame for the LA unrest. Take a listen to some of the things that he said. We'll go through this over the next two segments. Very important topic. President Trump didn't start these riots. He's not out there lighting cars on fire, hurling projectiles at law enforcement, or blocking freeways. This statement is an embarrassment and does nothing to diffuse the violent riots taking place across the city. The Democrats and their leaders own this. And again, Harris claimed that what was unfolding in Los Angeles County was a result of the Trump administration's cruel, calculated agenda to spread panic and division. This administration's actions are not about public safety. They're about stoking fear. Fear of a community demanding dignity and due process. Ryan, I'm going to stop there. We'll go into the rest of what the sheriff had to say. How do you break into a country, violate its federal laws, and then demand dignity and due process? It is a slap in the face to every single American and every single immigrant who came to this country lawfully. It is a smack in the head. Now, there's a photograph, Ryan, of a guy holding up a sign, okay? He's wearing a Mexican flag bandana with a sign that says, "Abolish ICE. Family belongs together." This guy does not belong in this country. How does this work, Ryan? Rein in Angry Mark.
Oh, look, this is classic. This is classic classic Democrat move, right? So create a problem, blame the other side for the problem, and try to convince the American people that they're the only ones that have the solution to the problem, which when you listen to them, they don't proclaim a solution. They just want Republicans to stop doing what they're doing. They want the Trump administration to stop rounding up folks that have broken federal immigration law and sending them back to their country of origin. And the hypocrisy to talk about families and breaking up families. See, this is what the corporate media refuses to talk about. There were 300,000 children trafficked across our southern border during the Biden administration. Where are those children? Where were the Democrats screaming when these children were broken, taken away from their parents, families broken up, trafficked across the border, sold into some kind of slavery here in the United States of America? This is it should not stand. Trump is doing the right thing. I hope, Brad, I 100% hope you are right and I am wrong, that he will stand strong on this, because the party that is standing up for families is the Republican Party. It's the Trump administration. They are the ones trying to stop this illegal trafficking of children and families. Look, anytime you hear a Democrat say the problem is somebody else, they're just telling you what's on their mind and what they're doing, right? That's just we shouldn't even have to say that anymore. It's so frustrating.
It is.
Democrats project. They project.
Democrats suck.
Now I'm angry.
Yeah, I know. Angry Brad is going to come out now too, Brad. Bianco added a video of a scene from the riots and urged the public to not be gaslighted in a tweet that he put out. X, formerly known as Twitter. Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, Karen, intentionally mispronouncing her name, by the way, because I don't care. Karen Bass and the Democrats want you to think this is a peaceful protest, he said. Don't let them gaslight you. This is Gavin's lawless California. Our state deserves better. Now, he made the following statement, Brad. An adherence to law is an absolute requirement if we are to remain a civilized society. That sounds like Justin. And that was in a news release from the Riverside County Sheriff's. Any person breaking the law, encouraging or inciting this behavior, or assaulting or obstructing law enforcement will be arrested, jailed, and prosecuted. And I feel certain that they will do that. But Brad, I know this will bring angry Brad out too. But when you see this, when you look at this photograph, it is a slap in the face to every single American. And you got to wonder, the cojones it takes. I can't imagine breaking into someone else's country and then making an ass of myself like this and expecting, after I broke their laws. Mexico would never put up with this if you break into their country. In fact, they chuck you out. Fix me, Brad.
They wouldn't chuck you out. You would be put into one of the awful Mexican prisons. The fact of the matter is, the fact we're putting people on airplanes and flying them home. That's about the most compassionate response you could ever expect. When you enter a country illegally and break the law. I mean, that is the moderate response. They keep going. They're not going to get the moderate response. They're going to get the extreme response. They kind of earned it. I'm kind of this country, like the things this country is built on, have been damaged by the Democrats. We've got to rebuild it, and we can't rebuild it over the top of lawlessness. We have to have law and order to rebuild this country the way it needs to be. And what this country needs to be, that is my daughter's birthright.
Mm-hmm.
That's all of our kids' birthright. Our ancestors, great odds, built this country with their bare hands to give it to us, and we got to leave something better for our kids, and we can't do that with what the Democrats have left us right now.
Yeah, and I can tell you right now, the founders are rolling over in their graves. Justin, when we come back, I'm going to make you angry too. And I can't wait to hear what you have to say. We're going to Justin Moon, the CEO of Carr Firearms Group. We're in the Carr Firearms Group studios here on the 6 Hour Mic. That's it. It's all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. We'll be right back. The following segment of Armed American Radio is being brought to you by AttorneysOnRetainer.com. AttorneysOnRetainer.com. Visit them today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back to the show. Final segment. Car Firearms Group Studio, 6 Hour Mike, Patriot Mobile Command Center lit up. It's all brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Guys, visit our partners. Tell you that all the time. It's what brings us here together every single day, 6 days a week. We couldn't do it without them. ArmedAmericanRadio.com. Greg, I think we made it.
It looks like we did.
Is it the final segment of the third hour already?
Judging by the clock, it is.
Judging by the clock, it is. Good heavens. Wow.
Yeah,
We actually made it. But we will get one sleep, and we'll be right back at it tomorrow because they don't want us to. And there will be a lot more to talk about tomorrow, guys. Trust me when I tell you. Justin Moon, CEO of Car Arms. You know, I'm kind of glad we had a break there to kind of, bring the temperature down a little bit. And then the first thing I do is I look at this picture again of this dirtbag holding up the Abolish ICE sign, wearing the foreign flag on his head, here illegally, rioting in the United States. And there's a headline up to the left of it, anti-ICE protest spread from LA to New York City. Justin, can I don't know if you can't calm me down about it. I just want to get your thoughts. I'm just going to toss it to you. You heard the previous two conversations. Go for it.
Well, Mark, I'm just glad we have President Trump in that office right now, because if we had Kamala, she would be burned down, and we would be basically in civil war. So I'm really glad for President Trump. I thank God every day, and I know he's going to take it to these illegal aliens who are ravaging our country and trying to destroy this great nation. So God bless Trump.
God bless Trump. Can you explain for me? I don't know. It's a hypothetical question, but nonetheless, I don't know that there's a real. I don't know the answer to it. But can you explain to me what would make a person feel like they were entitled to do that, to break into another country illegally, violate its laws, live here illegally, and then stand up at a riot, mimicking calling it a protest?
Well,
and feel comfortable doing that. What kind of person? I again, that's hard for me to wrap my head around. I can't imagine doing that and being comfortable about it.
Well, the last Democratic administration, which stole the 2020 election, invited in invaders to take over our country. And so now that they're basically acting out, trying to act like they own the place.
Well, I guess over 4 years they were told they did. I would fully expect, Ryan, that if I were to do that, to get my ass kicked if I were in another country doing that. I would fully anticipate that someone would want to kick my ass for doing that. I cannot imagine, it would be, no, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to get my ass kicked. Help me here.
Yeah, look, but for decades, right, to Justin's point, for decades, the left in the United States has told the rest of the world, but particularly Latin Americans, that the border is open. Come across. I mean, Biden made it very clear by putting Kamala Harris in charge of the border. If that wasn't a signal that the border was wide open and that incompetence is going to rule the day, I don't know what is. But we've invited everybody to break our laws, come in illegally, without regard for, quite frankly, just basic human welfare, like I was talking about. The Border Patrol lost, the Immigration Service lost track of those 300,000 kids that were trafficked coming into the United States. Yeah. Many, it's believed, were sold into sexual and other slavery in the United States, which is just unbelievable
to hear you
that this
say
is happening in this day of age.
It really, truly is. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to make a point here, okay? I have nothing against Latin American people. Lots of friends from around the world I have. It has nothing to do with that. The left wants to make it about race. It's not about race. It's about doing things legally. Brad, come on here. Look, you try to do the right thing, okay, and you get gaslighted by these folks, And it's so refreshing to hear Sheriff Chad Bianco. We got to reach out to him. I want to get this guy on the show. No question. It'd be fun to have. We love our sheriffs on this show, as you know, ladies and gentlemen. It'd be fun to have Chad on here. He's running for governor of California, and I do know how to get a hold of him, so I think we're going to do that. I just mentioned that out loud, so we're going to reach out to him. But, Brad, it's always the left that makes this about race, that makes this about compassion, when it's, as you said, the compassionate thing is to send them back and not jail them.
Yeah, look, I mean, if we went down to Mexico and behaved in this way when the Mexican government said we had to go home, our families might as well go out and buy a Ouija board if they want to hear from us again.
Right.
Because we wouldn't be alive. And so then you have, for example, the president-elect of Mexico, I don't know if you saw this today, is saying that they're going to mobilize if we try to further tax or tax remittances from our country to Mexico. That we have a Mexico problem. Let's be honest here. We have a country down there that is lawless. The government is non-functional. It is controlled by criminal gangs. Their economy is dependent on ripping us off, on money sent from our country into their country. And that government also has a lot at stake in the sense that if we send these people home, they lose a lot of income. So what I'm telling you is, like I said before, I would not be surprised if there's not some foreign influence on these people.
Yeah.
On the cartels and some government people. Like, we got a much bigger problem on our hands. I think we even realize this goes beyond just simple illegal immigration. This is an intentional invasion, and we have talked. The doors were thrown open by the Democrats, and if we don't get it fixed, we're going to be really up the creek in 10 years. So this is huge, and we're at this. This to me feels like a major turning point for our country.
Yeah,
far beyond anything that we've seen in the past.
I agree. I worked on that Mexican border when I was in the transportation business. I have a lot of friends down there with family on both sides of that border. I know what they're up against down there. I know what the cartels have done down there. I had to lay down in the back of a pickup truck crossing that border, so I didn't make anybody a kidnap. It was a threat of kidnap. It was the last time I went across that border back in, I think, 2001. So I've seen that, and I felt terrible. But there's a way to get here. And the way to fix the problem, Justin, is by forcing it back to a legal way, to do it the right way. And the Democrats have just destroyed that, and that's what's made it such a national security threat, Justin. I can't think of any other way to describe it. I feel terrible for the people. I do. It's heartbreaking, but this is what they believe because they've been sold a bill of goods by these liars in this Democrat Party in the United States, that it gives them the cojones to do what they're doing. And it should never have gotten to that point, and Trump is fixing it. And I think that's where you were going in the last comment, right?
You're absolutely right, Mark. The Democratic Party has betrayed the American people, and Trump is trying to get where we're at.
That's it. The Democrat Party has betrayed the American people. And not only have they betrayed the American people, they've betrayed these people by giving them the hope that this is legit, and it is not. Well, thank God Trump is in office to fix this, and the only way to fix it is to actually fix it. Ryan Petty, thank you for being here, brother. I know how busy you are. Get a good night's sleep. I'm going to try to do the same thing. It's been a long couple days, long week, actually. And thank you for what you're doing down there in Florida and spreading the word on how to fix these problems. No one knows about it better than you do. Brad Primo, for the win today, man. You gave us the entire hour. It's a great conversation. And Justin Moon, you just closed this out with a huge bang. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Monstercast comes to a close today. Welcome to all of our new affiliates around the country. Hope you enjoyed the program. And many of you are going to be carrying The Daily Show coming up this week as well, so we'll see you on the radio tomorrow. Why? Because they don't want us to do it. That's why we are going to get up and do it again. See you on the Armed American Radio Daily Defense tomorrow. Carry on, carry often, carry absolutely everywhere. Never, ever leave your cave without your club. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow, guys. Thanks for being here.
You just filled your prescription for freedom.
With Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association.
The National Rifle Association.
On the Armed American Radio Network.
All All right, guys, thanks for tuning in today. Appreciate it. It's been a very long week. We're going to call this one quits, and I will see each and every one of you on Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. Get a good night's sleep. See you on the radio tomorrow, guys. Enjoy your day, what's left of it. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. Please visit our partners. Go out of your way. Join the NRA. Pick up attorneys on retainer. These are no-brainer things. Start stacking ammo. These guys make this show possible every single day, and we desperately need you to support them so that we've got another 17 years on the nation's airwaves together. Lots of great stuff coming up. We wouldn't be adding affiliates if it weren't for all of us working together to keep this word out and having these amazing conversations with such great guests. Enjoy your day, guys. Stay safe. See you on the radio tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Done.